evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Northeast Guitars magazine. This is our first proper podcast, although myself and Dave did one last month on Rycuda and some slide bits, which was great fun. It really was good. But this time, as you can see on the screen, you've got Dave, or Murdock, as we call him. You got Lee, one of our top writers in the magazine, and obviously the editor, me, Paul. So we got a few bits and pieces to talk about this evening, a few odds and sods, a couple of reviews, and a couple of nasty bits that we talked about. And we are going to get a little bit truthful with these, I think. And it's nothing that isn't in the public sector, so I'm not going to be worried if we upset them a little bit. So yes, that's the business. That's the nature of the business.
And none of us are going to lose our jobs, are we?
Anyway, but the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is Paul Flatley's brand new pedal, and I think Dave has that right now.
I'm just trying to show it off. Give me one second.
I've
got it all plugged in.
So
it's not making noise, is it?
This is the Jester.
From Paul, didn't you? The Joker, you got it from Paul.
Yes, yeah,
and
from Paul.
It got passed on to me.
Yeah.
So we could do a nice review.
This is the pedal that Paul gave us at the Northeast Guitar Show. So there you go, Paul. We're going to do a live review of it. Lee did the initial review in the magazine that came out in the current issue, and it was then sent on to Murdock to give it a good old hoofing and see what we could come up with it for it. Anyway, I'm going to hand this over to you two guys because you know a lot more about it than I do. So, Dave,
from what I got out of it, as I've freely admitted in a number of issues and articles, I am not the world's most prodigious guitarist, nor am I the most technically minded. I can hit an A pretty well and I can shout down a microphone, and I know the difference between what sounds good and what sounds bad. That's about where I stop. The pedal itself...
You're doing better than most of us.
Well, I've been doing it a long time, 38 years. If I'm not good at it now, I should probably stop. But for me, out the box, it's a solid bit of kit, isn't it? It's a well put together unit. I've had stomp boxes in the past where you stomp on them once and that's the only stomping you get to do, That is built to put up with some fairly serious heft from what I got out of it. I like it. I like the look and I love the graphic, I think the graphic just makes it look cool.
It's his daughter that does all of them as well.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Having a little look at it all,
Yeah,
I did a little bit of research when I found out I was getting it. I spent about 2 hours watching every video I could find. And new toy.
See, I tried to avoid that. I avoided that like the plague. If I'm going to review something, I just want to go in, fresh. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. Let's plug it in and see if something blows up.
Yeah.
But
do you know what it was as well? I think when I read your review. I'm really glad that I didn't hear it in a video because obviously, we've known each other for a long time. We played in bands
a while now,
and so it'd be like getting driving lessons off your dad in a way. You're not going to take recommendations off me. I'm not going to take recommendations off you. So watching other people talk about it, particularly Paul Flatley as well.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. He knows exactly what's happening inside that box and how he gets the best out of it and how he wants other people to approach the pedal. I just thought the whole thing was really interesting, lads.
Yeah. Sound-wise, plugging it in and messing about with it. Started at the basement, worked my way up. Switched channel. Did the same again. And then I just basically messed around with it for a while. And it's useful in the same way that you'd expect it to be for that, style of pedal. But when you start pushing it a little, that's when I got interested in it then. Because I don't know if you noticed, if you start just tweaking it that bit, the breakup starts to become a little bit, is it coming? Is it not? Oh, there it is. And it does some fairly quirky things on the breakup. I was getting some little noises out of there. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. It didn't do that last time. So
did
it
you
does
try it with anything else, or did you just have it on its own?
I had it sat
Sorry, I interrupted, mate.
That's all right. I had it sat in line with my tuner in. I had my wah. I had the chorus, and I think that's it. But I was going through me little tiny Joyo head that I use.
Yeah.
One of the Bantam series. I love it. Cracking bit of kit.
Ideal for in the house.
Oh, it's. I'll tell you what, I've used it at shows and I've used it in the house, and at shows it's big enough to blow the back wall out, and in the house it's quite enough
great.
to play. It's wonderful. But I'll give it some beans because the neighbours were out. And for me, like you could look at it and you could go, yeah, I know what I'm going to get, and then it would come out with just an odd tone or an odd twang or a pick up of the frequency at a point that you weren't expecting, and you go, oh, that was interesting. Can I replicate it? And you could, but trying to do it, you'd find a load of other like bits where it would. I mean, as the name suggests, it's a joke, or it just kind of goes, yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you? I really enjoyed that about it, because it makes the play, for me, when I was messing with it, it made my play sound that little bit more kind of adventurous, if you like. More like I was doing things that I wasn't doing them. The pedal was doing it for me, if you know what I mean. It was my play, but it was just, it exemplified the bits of my playing that I don't know how to, in ways that I would never have thought of doing it, which is why I had so much fun. And that filth channel is just, me, I like it when you turn things all the way up to 11 and, I'd knock down a couple of walls, and using it that way to really kind of boost signal and give it meat was it was a glorious sound. Nice and thick and fat, but it didn't lose definition. I could hear the mids, it picked up the trebles without being tinny. It had that really nice, I mean, as you well know, I like that really thick, chunky sound, because I don't use reverbs. And I love that thick, chunky, tight sound, and it lent itself to that really well. I mean, you could chunk on it here and just smile to yourself going, yeah, it's got that glorious noise to it. But I mean, when we were talking, they said, oh, well, we'll send it down to you, because obviously you'll be able to get a lot more out of it than I could. I mean, what did you make of it player-wise?
When I first got it, I have this, like, it's not a theory, it's just like the way I've interacted with the differences between overdrive, fuzz, and distortion. And this being not just an overdrive pedal, but it's supposed to be a tube simulator as well. Where I've really found the most fun with it, and I almost, like, can I do something horrible where I start with two negatives, but they're the only two negatives?
It's our podcast, mate. You can do what you like.
Yeah. I don't want to like start on a bad foot, because I have had so much fun with this pedal, and my only two things with it are about where things are on the pedal. It's nothing to do with the sounds that it makes. That power plug needs to be at the top. It's just easier to sit on a board that way. Then you can have all of them across the top, and like it's just it hangs under the jack cable in a very upsetting way, where I feel like I'm not worried about breaking the pedal, but I might need to replace the lead if I'm clumsy with my feet too often.
See, that's something I didn't come across, because my board is made out of it's made out of control panel kit that I used to work in the workshop.
You make it yourself?
Yeah, it's literally it's modular, so I can make it as big or as small as I want, and it retains the same idea, but I can bring everything up from the side, from the back, from the front, and I have different places I can still delineate all the cables and have them nicely separated without anything kind of encroaching. So that's not something that I noticed, but obviously if you're going to use a board that's on the market, that's a good point.
Well, it's more a case of like a personal preference thing as well, I guess. All my other pedals have their lead at the top. Why doesn't this one? You know what I mean? Like, so
because
it's a bit of a
joker.
nothing thing.
It's different.
Yeah, that's it. I found if I use a right angle cable and just have that dangling up, it's fine anyway.
Yeah.
So that's usually, the other thing is, I wish the dirt and the filth selector was a second push button. I really think there was if there was a second pin to switch between the two of them.
Yeah, for live work.
I leave this. I leave this pedal always on. I never have it turned off when I'm out using it. I used it with my blues band, Murdock and the Mortals, humble plug, and then I used it with a function band that I've just recently left because it wasn't very good. But the guitar sounded great.
But that's all that matters to.
can I show you a little through the speakers? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no problem.
Ooh, I like that telly.
So, mate, Harley Benton, 350 quid. It's got a flamewood maple neck. So, like, I bought a £350 neck. They just gave me the rest of the guitar. You know.
I've seen a lot of their stuff that's coming out recently, and a lot of it looks quite impressive for the money. Like,
It's tasty for what it is, man. Paul, can you let me know if this gets too loud and just the clean first?
that's good.
That's
How's
fine.
that?
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. So that is just I'm using multi-effects, but I've got it set up with just a clean Fender bass kind of amp on it. So you got that. And the way that I've got the Joker set up at the moment is I kind of have, if you imagine the clock face, I've got everything set to 11 o'clock, and I keep it on the dirt channel rather than the filth channel. Just punch that in.
Yeah.
You got that really nice, like, that's what I go to a tube amp for, because from there, you then stack on top of that, you would put maybe a tube screamer or a rat or something on top
Yeah,
of
to
that
give you that
sound.
extra. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, this is essentially, if I, this is coil tapped, so I use it single coiled, and I get this nice break up, clean, kind of.
That's a lovely sound. That, yeah, I do like that.
Isn't that really, like, that's just middle pickup, single coil, and then when I need to be outrageous, I've got that Caught by the Fuzz by Funny Little Boxes we interviewed a few, yeah. And that's
sweet,
still
that,
single coiled, and
Yeah.
it's hot as hell, man. Like, if I put that back on the humbuckers,
It's still got
You know
that
what I mean,
control
like-
as well, hasn't it? It's got that, kind of. It doesn't get out of hand.
yeah. And that's with a fuzz stacked on top of it as
Yeah.
well. Like signal chain going guitar, Joker, fuzz, into the multi, into the sound card. Like, that is the sweet spot that I've found it at, because anymore, and it's just another distorted tone.
Yes.
And that's the way I've really been using it the most. But I do think that with it being a bit of a wild card, like, pardon the pun, kind of pedal, I feel that you could line 20 guitar players up and you'll get 20 different, like, really great, really
Yes.
diverse, really punchy sounds out of it. And, like, the tone control is where it really shines, because it's kind of like it's kind of like an LFO would work, the way
Yes,
it
yeah, I see
moves
what you mean.
across your EQ spectrum. When it's right down, it's very, very bassy, and as you move it up, it adds the mids and
Start to
sucks the
pick the
bass
mids
out.
up,
And
yeah.
then, yeah. So having everything kind of set at 11, because it is a telly and it is very thin sounding kind of anyway, but that's what you want. You want it to be barky and Bruce Springsteen, Keith
Yeah.
Richardsy kind of
But
sound.
when you use that, it thickens it up, doesn't it? It gives it like that,
Yes.
that extra meat.
Yeah.
It's like
It gives me enough middle to push through and enough bottom end so I don't sound like tinfoil when I do it.
yeah. I mean, when I ran it with my with the Strat, with the Tone Rider. There's a plug for them. With the Tone Rider Apex Plus setting, which fabulous, just fabulous. And then I ran it with the Richwood Explorer that I have. And I use that, me, Dave, I use that very kind of classic British hard rock tone. And like for
I always
me,
think
I
that
just
you just
found
need a
it.
tiny terror, man. A tiny terror and a foot switch, that's all you need.
Give me an orange and a 2B12 and I will show you the world, my son. I don't need reverbs, I don't need none of that. Just give me a clean channel, a distorted channel and two 12-inch Celestians and I'm off. I'm good.
Yeah.
I've always been meat and potatoes, but for my sound, I found that when I brought it in, it just kind of gave it that chunk that I used to replicate by using a compressor and the dirty channel, the fat channel on the Dual Terror, and it just kind of it broadened the scope of the sound and give it that bit more heft behind it. Like it puts its shoulders up, but it didn't get out of hand. It kept it in that same punchy zone that I like to get out of the amp and the guitar. So I mean, for me, it was rhythm-wise, because I mean, primarily that's what I do. I've always been a rhythm guy. I love playing rhythm. And there's a lot you can do with it when you've got something like that in your arsenal to kind of go, okay, second guitar's dropped out to solo. I'm going to pick this up now by giving it that extra, right, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and it just fattens that track up so you don't lose that width in the rhythm section. It keeps that kind of width behind the solo so you don't miss that second guitar.
Absolutely. Like, it's the same as like if you're playing in a power trio, one of the best things you can do is have your bass player have a fuzz or just something that when you step it on, they can step it on too. And
I mean, there's a reason everyone buys a Sans amp, isn't there, when they're a bass player?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it's for.
Or you judge a bass player whether there's a Marley pedal on their box or not. Like,
I once played with a bass player, believe it or not, he ordered a Sans amp, he sent him 2 by accident, so he just put 2 on his board.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? One over here and one down here.
It was brilliant, I loved it.
I think with that, like, kind of similarly to how you've talked about using it there, where you're using it to fatten up the sound rather than turn the volume up.
Yes.
When I was with the Function band, one of the ways that I was utilising it was kind of like an EQ boost with a bit of dirt on it as well. So a lot of the stuff that we were playing, like, it's Function stuff. You're doing Bruno Mars, you're doing Diana Ross, and like whatever makes 300 drunk people dance. You're doing that. But then when you want the solo to sound good, having something that will then push the bottom end and the mids just a pinch when you want to cut through.
Just to cut through the mix.
Exactly. You don't need to rely on the volume or stacking gains on top of it. Like, I've still got a Rat set up with it as well, because sometimes I like to get nasty, boys.
Yeah.
But like,
well, sometimes we all need to get a bit filthy and rub some dirt on it, don't we? You know.
Oh yes, we do. Yes, we do. I think one of the biggest standouts for this pedal is the fact that, like, once you become integrated with it, you don't realise kind of how much you needed something like that on your board. For me, it was a case of where I was compensating with a volume pedal or stacked distortions or anything. Just having the option to have, like I said at the beginning there, an option for a great overdrive sound, which is that break-up tube amp kind of sound that you want. And then to have your gnarly and your gnarlier sounds on top of that, like, you didn't know what you were missing till it made its way onto your board. You really don't. It's beautiful.
I mean, it's a point that you've made there, and I mean, it's something that occurred to me, but it was after I'd written the article, because obviously we got the pedal, and I had to do a pretty quick turnaround on that article. I think I turned it around in something like 36 hours.
Yeah, just a few days.
So I didn't have a great deal of time, and I didn't get a time to really sit and think with it a lot. But one of the problems that you do get a lot of the time, and I mean, I know you've seen this, Dave, I see it all the time when I go and watch acts. The lead guitarist goes into a lead break and he hits a pedal and his volume goes through the roof. And it's not cutting through the mix, he's plastering over it. You know, and it's just, you've ruined what sounded good. With that, you don't get that effect.
Yeah.
It cuts through the mix effectively so you can hear the solo, you can hear those notes ringing through, but it doesn't adjust the mix for the audience, so you don't just get, right, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 32 seconds, I'm Eddie Van Halen, and nothing else, you know, and then, and now, back to the song, and you turn it off again. With that, it's very much like, it's integrated into the overall mix of the band, and the songs you're performing, which I think is a much, much better route for anyone who's going to perform live, than having this tremendous boost in volume, that, to be honest, takes away from the sound live. I mean, in my opinion, certainly.
No, you're quite right, mate. And I think that, like, we're talking about two kind of different things in the terms of, like, the utility on the board and your utility as a musician within the band as well. But I think that to add to that conversation, having tools like this is what makes you a better utility player, because when you need to shut up, you can shut up, and when you do need to bring it a little bit, just step on that and off you go. Like, it's there, it's waiting for you, kind of thing.
You can still sound good and you can still sound big, but you're not going to piss off the sound man.
Well, totally that. Totally that. It's really great. I will continuously talk about it, and if I find cool things, like, obviously it'll end up in the magazine, so people will be able to see what I think moving forward with it. But right now, it's forever on my board, and it's forever switched on, lads.
Cool.
So, just to let people know, if they want to know more about it, if they look into the last issue of the magazine, Lee's written the review, and there's loads of links where they can go to Paul's website. This is Paul Flatley, by the way, Paul Flatley's Pedal Boutique. Amazing place to go if you're a serious guitarist. This is the place to go for pedals. They are seriously good pedals.
We've had a lot off them, haven't we? Quite a few.
I've actually got one.
To memory, I don't believe we've ever had a bad pedal.
No, we haven't. They've all been really, really good pedals. I've continued to support Paul since we started the mag up and since he gave us his first pedal. And he's been in the magazine ever since, and he will never come out of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Unless you start making bad pedals.
Yeah.
Because you will be told.
The pedals.
I don't think he will.
In fairness,
it doesn't sound like he knows how to.
In fairness, these aren't beginners pedals. They are, for your serious guitarists. And the price tag does reflect that. But in this case, you're getting what you pay for. You're paying, you're paying decent money for these pedals, but you're getting a bloody decent pedal for your money. We're going to...
Can I just add something on to
yes,
the end?
mate.
Sorry, mate, go on.
No.
It was just real quick
go
with the way that you said there, like them not being beginner pedals. You're absolutely right that they're not, but like
they're simple
on top
enough,
of that, they also fix... Well, not just that they're simple enough, they fix a lot of the problems that you will find buying a lot of other gear.
Yeah.
Like, I had a look at their wah pedals, and I was going to say, Paul, if you want to send me one of those wah pedals to have a look at, this crybaby, I'm using it like a mug. What am I doing? But the wah that he has, you click it on, and then it works like the Morley wah does, where it's off until you start moving. Yeah. And on top of that, when you click it on, there's a big blue light comes on around the bottom, so when you're on stage, that big blue, you see exactly where it is. You're never going to have too many pints and miss it, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
so yeah, if you want one reviewing, Paul.
So we've had a good look at this pedal. It's highly rated as far as any guitar's concerned, and we'll keep plugging this stuff. That's something. We're going to take a 2-minute short break, and we're going to be back talking about some amplifiers by Blackstar. Back in a minute.
Cheers.
Any Guitars magazine, issue 15, is out now, ready to read and download. Read great articles with Blackstar amplifiers, Paul Flatley guitar pedals, and Conquest music. Check out her regular columnists like Michelle Taylor, Kenny Relton in the Blues Room, Lee Etherington looking back on forgotten bands. Also check out Murdock Does Guitar with fantastic guitar lessons and a special spotlight on influential guitarists. Read the latest news from around the world of music and look out for the What's On Guide, giving you the best gigs in the Northeast. Go to www.anyguitarsmagazine.co.uk to download your free edition of Any Guitars magazine. Also available on social networks. 2, 1. Welcome back to Any Guitars magazine podcast. And we're slowly getting pissed here, but never mind. We're now going to be talking about a couple of amps from a company who's been working with us again since day one, which is Blackstar. And they are a fantastic amplifier company. They've sent us quite a few a couple of amps. We've got the Jared James big stack system, which is far too big for me to play with. So
I have used it a couple of times on stage, and it's a lot of amp.
It is. It's
a lot of amp.
That's not the one we're talking about. The first amp they actually sent us was from their debut range. Now their debut range are basic. They are basic starter amps.
Entry level.
Yeah, entry level amps. The 30 watt amp is your practice amp, your basic practice amp. It's got no bells and whistles. Obviously, we've got it here, so it's nice and compact. It's nice and small. The sound on it is amazing. It really is. Now, looking at the board on it, just going through it, he's actually got it upside down. Never mind. You've got the normal gain, volume, equalizer, the DSP, and a delay. Now, on this one, the delay, I love this because it's got a tape echo delay, which for the rockabilly is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's got...
Get that slap back.
Yeah. It's got the little tape-in small jack and the headphone jack. Now, I've actually found a lead which goes into the headphone jack, which I can stick into my passive DI unit, which actually amplifies it really, really nicely for playing in smaller small venues. The Fish being the one that I use it the most, which is great. But I've had this itch for a long time, which I needed to scratch, and it was what the itch was, the 50 watt amp. I wanted to know what the 50 was like. Now I know Black Star sent Michelle, who's listening in, I believe, and she said,
Michelle.
Yeah, she gave a cracking review in the magazine about this, but I wanted to get it and see what it was like. So a couple of weeks ago, I went out and bought the 50. Now this is the W50R, a little bit bigger, a little bit juicier, and
Open back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's got everything.
See the
you
nerd
need.
straight away. Open back. Yeah.
It's got everything.
There you go.
need.
Sings how he complained about it being upside down.
So in here again, it's exactly the same. You've got the clean channel. You've got a decent overdrive channel here. With the various switches that you need for that. You've got your basic equalizer, your ISP switch, which is a specific thing that Black Star have come up with, and it goes between like a British and an American sound. That's probably the best way to describe it. The reverb channel that
Is that the IFL? Is it?
It's the
Is that what it's called?
ISP.
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 Yeah.
I know that. I remember I had a couple of HT reverbs, and they had the similar thing, and it's just like a present style on a Marshall.
Yes, yeah, very similar.
This side,
Yeah.
bring it right the way around. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously we have the reverb on it. Unfortunately, they haven't got the tape echo, which I love. But anyway, they do have a very, very decent hall and a very, very decent plate just by on the switch. So there's no real bells and whistles with this thing. Again, it's just a basic amp. However, the 50 I actually took down to the Bluesburn a couple of weeks ago, and I put it up with a Marshall CDR80, which Lee gave me, which we stuck into the back line, and I put the W50R on top just to see if anyone would use it, and everybody was using it all night long. I didn't have a bad review from the amp all night long, and I was asking everybody that used it what was it like. They were saying it's fantastic, it's a great amp, perfect for this kind of venue. So now this one, brand spanking new, was £249. Now if you go on Amazon, you can buy them.
That's the 50, to be clear. That's the 50, to be clear.
Yeah. You can buy them used for about 170 quid in pristine condition. So they're not that expensive, but for your starter amps, your entry level amps, these are really the things to go for. They're not confusing. You know exactly where everything is, easy to control, and they're great for pedal boards. Now I had one of these Spider amps some years ago. As most people know, I'm not the best guitarist in the world, and I'm still trying to find my way around amps. These ones I'm really comfortable playing. I can put my pedal ball into them and I'm happy. I get a great sound and I can use them all night long. With the Spider amp, you needed a degree in rocket science to get the thing to work. There was so many switches and buttons and dials, and I had it for about a fortnight and it went. I got rid of it. I didn't like it. Anyway, I just wanted to mention these two amps for your entry level guitarists. If you're looking for something decent, these are definitely ones to be looking at. So,
I mean, I know bits about Black Star. I haven't used them an awful lot, I'll be honest. anyone that knows me knows that cheap and cheerful is my way of life. So whatever I can find at a bargain price.
Yeah, these
But
aren't expensive.
I would never look at a brand new amp.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't occur to me because in my mind it's too expensive. But to look at what they are, you know, and to look at the price point that they're at, and then think back to when I started playing. And I mean, obviously I'm a bit older than Murdock here and a little bit younger than Paul. But when I started, you know, everyone had like a Squire 15 watt amp that just sounded like someone had put a car speaker in a shoebox. You know, they were horrible little things, and the quality wasn't really there. It was just something to make the guitar, you know, loud, so you could hear it. You could play out of tune Guns N' Roses songs for 7 hours at a stretch. But with the stuff that Black Star are actually doing, entry level, it's giving you a very good solid basis for like getting the tone, learning how to use an amp, learning how to actually craft a sound using 6 strings and a bit of electronics, which is like a vast improvement on where like it started for me, certainly. I mean, the best amp you could get, in my opinion, back then when I first started, was, you remember those old Gorilla tube amps?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love one of them. If anyone has one spare, wants to send us it, please. Like they were amazing, but the stuff that these guys are knocking out now, let's face it, next to nothing price wise, for the features you get, the build quality and the sound that's extraordinary from where we started.
In the next issue of Any Guitars, we're going to be advertising their new IDX amplifier, and I believe it's 100 watt. And it looks stunning, it really does. I'm still trying to talk them into sending one over so we can give it a bit of a review and a test out. But it does look...
And then send it to Brighton for Murdock.
Well, I'll book another Mustard Seed show first and we'll put it through its paces.
Teach it a lesson.
But, you know, Black Star are going to be our amp of choice, you know, at least for the foreseeable future. I love their amps. They are really, really good. One of the things I do want to do is when you're coming up with your gigs, once you're back from your travels, is actually to take them down and try them out. Plug them in somewhere. Obviously, take your normal set down there and just swap them over and see how you get on with them.
Yeah, certainly.
And when we come to that to our next podcast, tell people.
I mean, I have no doubt that the amplifier will be capable. The only problem that you have if you're doing a show, I mean, is Murdock, as he said, has played in bands with me, and the amount of air you need to move with a single speaker, you're not going to get it. But
try it out.
You know, I can maybe look at if plug it in, get the sound, and then maybe look at miking it up and dealing with it that way. But I'll give it a run out, and you know, it'll have an A played through it like no A it's ever had played through it in its life by the time I'm finished.
Are they transistor or tube? Sorry, I don't know if you said earlier on.
These are solid states, I believe.
You're right.
Yeah, they're a solid state.
I know the HT5 and the HT5 reverbs that I had, they are basically, it's an indoor cab is what they were selling you. You buy the cab and the head, and it's about 3/4 size stack.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had the head with 2 cabs, and it's the loudest amp I've ever owned. Like that, I've got a Fender Princeton 112 sat back there. Just a little 50 watt thing with the old gold brick reverbs in them, and like, competitively, I've never turned either of those amps past 4 in any venue I've ever played in, and that's whether you're getting mic'd up or not. Like they're like you said there, like it's about how the speakers are pushing the sound out of that really does make or break an amp for a lot of players.
It's a common misconception, isn't it, that you need, you know, I need 100 watt, I don't need 30, or I need 200 watt, I don't need 100, and it's not particularly the amplifier that's doing that. People confuse that, I think. The more speakers you have, the more air you're moving with that amplifier, the bigger the sound you're going to get. So often, if you find a head you like, you know, if one of these Black Stars sounds really nice, you could maybe line it out through a cab, and then you've got the sound you want plus the air movement. So it's not always about, you know, more watts is better. You know, it's often about find a sound,
exactly.
then figure out how to move the air.
Yeah. And if you're going to do it, make sure you trial it at home first, or you'll Marty McFly yourself on stage, and that's the last thing you want. Because they don't tickle if you get it right or you get it wrong.
And this is coming from two guys who were once asked to pull their gear down because we were too loud at sound check.
You still got paid, shut up. You got
Twice.
paid twice. That's how good I am. That's how good I am, Lee.
Yeah, you got us paid once, and I got us paid the second time. We're doing something. I'd say we're even.
So that's the Black Stars that we've had. We're going to take another 2 seconds break. We'll be back in a minute with a few controversial chats. See you in a minute. Did you know you can subscribe to any Guitars magazine completely free? All you need to do is go to anyguitarsmagazine.co.uk and click on the subscribe button. We will deliver your very own edition of any Guitars magazine straight to your inbox as it is released. All you need to do is enter your name and your email address, and that's all we need. No spam, no unwanted ads. Just great content from your favourite guitar magazine. So subscribe now and get your edition of the fastest growing guitar publication in the Northeast. Yes, we're back with Any Guitars, and I'm handing straight over to Dave because he's got a gripe. Dave.
Unlike me to be unhappy about anything, eh, boys? What I'm going to do, if it's okay, Paul, is I am just going to pull up the... for my next article, I'm talking about what's been going on with Fender in the year of 2026. I'm sure some of our readers have caught up with it. Might be news for a few of yous. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to skim through this so that I don't lose. There's dates and there's times and everything. But essentially, the important date is on March the 9th, a court case was held in Dusseldorf, and I'm going to do my best not to butcher the name of this, because Bird on Bird, Fender's legal and press team, took EU Philharmonic Musical Instruments Company to court, and the EU Philharmonic are actually a China-based builders, and they were telling $62 Strats on AliExpress. And yeah, Fender didn't like that very much and decided to take them to court. Nobody from the Chinese company showed up, so Fender won by default, even though that they've gone straight to the press and gone, we crushed them in court, and like that isn't really the narrative surrounding what's happened with it. But this is all to do with Edward Bud Cole, the new CEO who's taken over at Fender. He took over in February, and Fender have insisted that he is a lifelong guitar player. But this guy is actually, he's an exec and he worked in lifestyle and fashion. He's come straight from being, let me get his job title up, I have it here. He was senior leadership executive roles at Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren and various others. And what he's essentially done is he's put a law in place, effective immediately, that if any companies are copped out for making S-shape or Stratocaster-shaped guitars, they'll be served a cease and desist. If they ignore the cease and desist, that's €250,000 per instance of you breaking that. And on top of that, if you can't pay that fine, you can serve up to 6 months in prison for it. Now, the thing that's got me so griped about it is if this was done way back in the 70s when the guitar was barely 20 years old, absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. Yeah. But for the last 72 years, the Stratocaster has not only been the most accessible musical instrument on planet Earth, it's also designed to be altered and tweaked and mucked around with, and like you can change the parts if you want to change them. Like Leo designed it so that any guitar player could pick this up and get a sound that they liked out of it. And because of that, we get the Jeff Becks with the floating trems, we get Eddie Van Halen, Franken Stratocasters, the Cudacaster. Like viewers and listeners that checked out last month's issue, I taught you guys how to make a Cudacaster from scratch and with modern parts. That's all in there. The Strat, for me, should feel, sorry to use a driving reference again, but it should feel like your first car. You know what I mean? If you spend 400 quid on your first car, you're going to spend at least 600 getting it on the road, because you're going to need to switch the tyres over, get a little MOT and a service done on it. With a Stratocaster, whether you're buying something from Fender or whether you're buying one of the knockoffs, because the not knockoff, let's use builders and boutique. But if you're going to buy something that's not a Fender, are you buying it because it's cheaper and you're going to swap the bits out anyway? Or has a company already made the perfect Stratocaster? It just doesn't have a Fender logo on it. That's the point of it. It doesn't matter whether you buy the £2,000 Ultimate Fender package, or whether you buy a 150 quid Argos Special, or whether you get a Yamaha Pacifica. We're all supposed to be part of the same club. And by violently going after people that he just doesn't need to go after, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not going to affect the bottom line, is it?
Absolutely not, you know what I mean? And on top of that, like, the audience that still go after Fender because it's a Fender. And I meet these people, I meet students like this, so I meet 17-year-olds that will accept no substitute. It's a Fender or it isn't. And I meet guys that are like us, a little bit older, and we've gone Squire, we've gone Pacifica, we've gone, like, I've just said there, that Harley Benton, it was that or the S shape I was going to get, and that's a Tele shape as well. How long is it going to be before he's coming in after the Telecaster shapes? And
Jaguars.
It just, yeah, the Jaguars, SGs and Gibsons, we were just chatting about Gibsons in the break there. Like, it's the same argument, because what you're doing is you're gatekeeping it. And on top of that, he's like, if you have a look online, the price increases on these guitars are anything from 30 to 50%, and that's from Fender. Before you start looking at your eBay market and like the S-shaped guitars that aren't Fender S-shaped guitars are now going to have an incredible price on them, because they're kind of black market property now as well, in a really weird way. And all he's done is drive people, I feel, and speaking to the guys down here at the blues jams that we go to, like, all the guitar shops are now locally owned thanks to PMT and GAC closing, so it's all local boys having their little round yeah can't wait. But like, it's guys in the beer garden talking about it, and that's who your demographic are. The Stratocaster will still be the most sold guitar at Christmas, because it's always going to be the most sold guitar at Christmas. It's just what it is that. But to push people actively away from that, out of what seems to be nothing other than greed, there's no intellectual property here. There's no family name that's getting dashed everywhere. It is literally just the wants of a new CEO. Like, pardon the expression, he's just looking like he's swinging his dick around, like he wants something to say, and this is this big grand statement that he's making on a 72-year legacy. Just seems like he misread the room in order for what would have probably been, I don't want to, like, I'm not knocking his past career choices, I'm just acknowledging that he worked in lifestyle and high fashion, brands that are changing every 6 months. Stratocasters haven't changed that much for 70 years, unless it's a modded Strat. It's still 3 single coils, a floating trem, and a nice neck, you know what I mean? Like, it does the job.
Well, we had this discussion, as you said, didn't we, off during the break? And to be perfectly honest, first guitar I ever got that was electric guitar was a Stratocaster shape. It was a Marlin Sidewinder in sparkling pink with a black scratch plate, a floating bridge, and a coil tap. And I paid 75 quid for that. If I'd have wanted to buy the equivalent Fender back then, I would probably have paid around £400. And I'm relatively old, so £400 was a lot of money. In fact, 75 quid was all the money that I had in my savings at the time. You know, so we're going back a ways. The problem...
For anybody that was born in this century, Lee's probably talking about a time when 40 pence got you on the bus to the swimming baths, a bit of a lap round the swimming baths, and then home again on 40p.
and a Highland toffee bar. Staple of the Millhouse Baths.
Yeah.
But, like, the problem that you've got now is that you've got to justify cost, okay? So I understand Fender are going, oh, I don't like the idea people are using our idea. Yeah, I can understand that. But your idea has been in public consciousness for, as you say, 70 plus years. If you ask a kid to draw an electric guitar, they're probably going to draw
exactly.
a Strat, right? We all know what a Strat is, and we all know it's a Fender. And a lot of us want one. I, luckily through Paul, have one, and it's a cracking guitar. I love a Fender Strat, I really do. That being said, the quality of what Fender are currently offering at the price point they're offering it doesn't make a Strat a sensible buy.
Yeah.
It's, it's very much the same way that I feel Gibson have gone. It's now a lifestyle brand. It is, the badge on your car. It's, the 3 stripes on your shoes. It's that silly little target that hard men have on their arm when they go out drinking. I
would argue for the 20 years that I've been gigging, they have been that as well. You know what I mean? Like,
to a degree, if
I pull a Squire out, somebody in a Pink Floyd t-shirt is... No, sorry, Paul, no offence, I love Pink Floyd, it's just you have one on and I didn't want to... I'm not pointing the finger at you, but it's always somebody will go, it's not a Fender though, is it? And that rhetoric is still very much part of the community, Like,
it is, but 20 years ago, if someone said that, it carried weight. Because 20 years ago, the difference between a Squire and a Fender was pretty big, and you could feel it when you picked them up. The Squires weren't bad guitars, but they weren't Fenders. Now, you blindfold me today, give me the most expensive Strat you can find, and a mid-level Squire, and I can pick them up, play them both, and as long as they've been set up properly, I won't be able to tell you the difference. The quality that you used to pay for isn't there anymore. Gibson are the same. The quality that you used to pay for isn't there anymore. And what Fender I think are going to find is the same thing that Gibson have found. After Gibson went after people who were making copies, way back when, making copies of the Les Paul. One of the best ones I've seen, the Greco Les Paul. A friend of ours, Mark Walker, he had one. And it was an animal. It's one of the best Les Pauls I've ever played, and it wasn't a Gibson. And as a result, to try and buy one now, you'll pay more for that than you're going to pay for a Gibson. But when you buy the Greco, you're getting a solid, good, real high quality piece of kit that was done to a standard that Gibson seem incapable of doing. And what's going to happen is you're going to end up a few years down the line, because Fender have no one else allowed to make that shape of guitar, they're going to get increasingly worse and worse and worse, and the quality will drop. They'll keep the badge on the top, they'll keep on the price point, they'll keep on charging through the nose, but because there's no competition at that shape, and that is a wonderful shape, as I say, I love Strats. They're comfortable, they're versatile, you can do just about anything with a Strat. There's no limitations with them in my mind. But the quality is going to drop to the point that people start paying 5 times as much for the copy that was made 20, 30 years ago than they are for the brand new thing out of a factory in the USA, because what they're going to be paying for is going to be crap. That's what I think is going to happen. And,
I think, sorry, go on, finish, man.
If you're looking at trying to protect your income by turning around and doing this, which will be the justification, it's our intellectual property, it affects our bottom line. I can tell you that's bullshit. What it's going to do is it's going to massively affect your bottom line in the future when people cotton on to the fact that what you're doing is selling them utter rubbish for premium prices, when you can go out and you can find something that really is the real I am, the proper deal, and then you'll pay that price for it. It's going to affect them badly in the long run, and optics, good God, to go chasing the little man when you're Fender, of all people, that's like the USA declaring war on me.
I was about to say this actually. It actually sounds like an excuses expression, a Donald Trump of the guitar world. It really does.
It is a bit, yeah.
It has that feel to it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very bullying.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
and
big,
it's
you're small.
unnecessary. This is totally unnecessary. Especially with the state of the guitar purchasing business is at the moment. Obviously, where we're seeing so many shops being closed down, where Fender and Gibson are losing their places, especially around the UK, where we're losing all these little shops. And if you go into which we're going to come on to in a minute, Gear for Music, you might find one or two Fenders in there, but they're going to be sort of like the bottom end of the range, so they can sell them, at £500, £400-500, whatever it is. But the most of their guitars,
something they've got 200 of in a factory.
Yeah. But the more the economy is taking the hits that it's taking at the moment, nobody is going to be paying the big money for the most expensive guitars, and that was actually proved at the guitar show, the Northeast Guitar Show that we went to earlier on this year. And I bought a guitar in there. I bought a Harley Benton Rezo King in there, and it cost me less than £200. Lovely guitar, great sound on it, brilliant resonator, but for less than £200.
That's where it used to be. You could walk into a little guitar shop.
It is.
And there'd be a guy in there who was 50, 60 years old, smoked in the shop, put his cigarettes out at the till, and you'd have a Fender and a Gibson and a Jackson and a load of other guitars that you'd never heard of in your life. And you could pick them all up and you could try them. Yeah. And the Fender was always good. The Gibson was always good. And it was always the most expensive guitar in the shop. Yeah. But... is what they're currently churning out a guitar you're going to pick up and go, oh, this is perfect. I mean, I just
this
don't
guy
think
isn't
so.
going to be. Yes, he's going to be attacking, the companies that are knocking these guitars out or producing these guitars. But the people he's going to be hurting are the guitar players.
Yeah, massively.
They're not going to be able to afford these guitars. Then and the more this economy drops, and it's going to drop further than what we are. Things haven't finished hitting rock bottom yet, and the lower it goes down, these big high guitar companies aren't going to be able to afford to bang their products out. So why aren't they? Instead of saying, if you copy the Stratocaster, we're going to be finding you so much, and there's a 6-month jail sentence or whatever. Why aren't they sort of like going with them and said, let's get a deal sorted out together where you're promoting our name, but obviously you're selling it out, and trying to come to some kind of way where it works for everybody. Most importantly, the guys down at the bottom that are buying the bloody things,
Yeah, you've really hit the nail on the head there, because I don't know if this was the same at the Northeast Guitar Show, but when I covered Brighton's guitar show down here last year, something that I saw in spades was you had your second-hand sellers that had, they were legit 70s and 80s Fenders and Gibsons, and they had a really tasty price tag on them. Hardly any of them moved. But your boutique luthiers and your guys that are making, like, it's got a Gibson or a Fender shape, but I carved the wood, and, like, I've got some bare knuckle pickups that I've rewound myself, and, like, the idea that this guy crafted this thing, and it's got a $2,500 sticker on it, his sign-up sheet is 3/4 of the way full with people going, I'll spend $2,500 on that. Yeah. If Fender, instead of trying to shut that guy down, buy his patent and teach their makers how to make his guitar, everybody wins. Like, everybody comes up together.
It's not even that complicated.
Yeah, but
they enter into a deal that says...
A way to give back to... Go on, sorry.
Enter into a deal that says, right, okay, we'll let you use the shape, we won't chase you in court, but we want 3 cents for every dollar that you make for using that shape. It's win-win. Everybody gets something at a price point they can afford, they get a well-made instrument, and Fender don't sit there going, well, we're letting people use our stuff for free. I mean, I can't believe that someone who apparently is intelligent enough, and I'm going to use that word relatively loosely, to get to the point that he's got, because we all know I don't have a great deal of respect for those who float into management. I can't understand how someone who's supposed to be that intelligent doesn't realise that what he's doing at the moment is cutting his own feet out from under him, rather than asking everyone for a couple of pence on every pound to buy himself a new pair of shoes.
I do think that, like, it's probably the romantic in me that wants the little guy to get the patent. But I think even from a money-making sense, like, they would get to introduce an innovative Fender line by bringing in some of these boutique makers and luthiers in a way where it's like the thing you know presented in a way you don't know. And this is why it's new and sleek and sexy, and fair enough, you'll have your fair amount of people pushing back just because it's got a Fender or a Gibson logo, because those punters, they already exist. Oh, I'm not buying that when I can get it for 200 quid cheaper over here. Like, that's kind of what this whole argument is about. But the lesson that the CEO seems to be learning is the same racket that people like Amazon Prime and Disney are doing, where you're already paying a subscription, and then they force the adverts on you, and then offer a higher paid subscription to remove the adverts, which is how the mafia work. You know what I mean?
I've already
this is a like Pixar movie you're watching.
But I mean,
oh yeah.
One of the things that scares me with this is Fender for 70 odd years has had an amazing name, and as a young guitarist, you aim to get a Fender. You might not be able to afford one to start off,
but you want a Strat.
Yeah,
you want a Fender Strat.
You want a Strat. Yeah. You want to be like Hendrix. You want to be, like Clapton. Dave Gilmour, and all the rest of
the lad at school's got one.
Yeah. But you want to aim to get there. Now the way things are going at the moment, it's kind of sullying the name. A little bit. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here.
I wouldn't say kinda.
Not massively.
This is, this is going to get all over social media. I'm not saying through us, but through the normal, probably through us.
We didn't start the fire.
But through normal social media channels, the stories are going to come out, and the name is going to start to get sullied, and that beautiful name of Fender that everybody has loved for so long. Yeah. People can think, well, if that's what they're like, do I really want one?
Am I going to give that person my business?
And that kind of thing is going to happen. So, maybe, this new CEO needs to sort of kind of take a step back and take another look at it, I think.
Well, it's someone that hasn't read the room. One of the things that kind of jumped in my mind a little earlier was, I'm fairly sure that PRS do a Stratocaster shaped guitar, yes? Is it John Mayer
as well? He's got a custom one.
So,
yeah.
Are Fender going to go after PRS for making an S-shaped guitar?
So, as far as
I imagine PRS have a slightly larger budget than a small bloke and his, 8 or 9 guys in China. I imagine they probably have a better way of fighting.
Yeah. But this is why you go after the little guy. You go after the little guy, and the little guy didn't even turn up at court. And then Dusseldorf and Germany have made that ruling that S Stratocaster-shaped guitar is now part of the copyright. It was never part of the copyright. Fender used to say that the headstock and a couple of the other little trimmings, that's what makes a Fender a Fender. The S-shaped body is not the thing that makes it the Fender.
Yeah.
Now, it's not just trademark, it's copyright. Trademark you can lend out. Copyright you can hold on to forever, and you are not going to get around a copyright. And that's the bit that's dangerous. That's the bit that takes it out of the community. The community that the Fender name wouldn't exist without, by the way. Yes, you made really good guitars, but it's also through the innovations of the players that we've mentioned. And I can't think of a Stratocaster I've owned that I haven't at least changed the pickups on, at the very least. You know what I mean?
Only one.
And I think that
only one that the only one I've ever had that I didn't change at all.
Is that because he gave you it and he sat right next to you and you can't say
No, I changed those pickups within 4 months.
As soon as he left the house.
I did have one many years ago now. I was a teenager when I got it, and it was glorious. And through silly mistakes and bad life choices, I had to sell it because I needed the money. But it was a glorious guitar, and it didn't suit what I was playing. And I was playing heavy metal at the time, and single coil Strat doing heavy metal. But would I hell play anything else? Because it was perfect.
Fair.
I have, I'm going to say, the S-type guitar of all dreams. Now, I bought this guitar. This is a story that I tell around all the lads around here. I bought it, it must be 10, 12 years ago now, from a guy in the East Midlands who just knocked guitars together. And he had this Strat-shaped guitar, and he wanted 50 quid for it, and it needed putting back together. Kind of like a Brian Setzer sort of like thing, where he bought his for $100, I think, his 6120, and it turned into a world-class guitar. And I still have the guitar here, and I will not swap it for anything. The sound on it is absolutely incredible, and I have to say it's better than any Fender I've ever played. Couldn't tell you what it is. I don't know what the pickups are. They are the most powerful pickups I've ever played.
Is that one of those where you're not going to take it apart to find out because you're scared
No.
of ruining something?
I don't want that.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm not going to touch it because if I do, I'm going to spoil something and it'll never be the same.
It's the guitar looks shagged. It really does. Hold on, 2 seconds.
You see, go into the corner.
Get it out.
Strats out for Harambe.
Oh no, you go. He's got it.
This is it here.
That was rapid. Well done.
Yeah, they're all hanging on the wall, and it is typical Fender shape. This thing was put together by someone that knew what he was doing. I've got to say, I haven't got a clue what these are. They sound
pickups, Paul.
They sound amazing. They really do sound amazing. It's got a sticker over the back. Because someone did some work on the floating bridge for me and actually left a soldering iron on the wood, and I put a sticker. I wasn't very impressed.
Done that before.
It's a lovely finish as well, man.
Mate, if you look at it, it's absolutely knackered.
It is, yeah.
It's there's bits and pieces on it that are falling apart. It's proper road worn. It really is proper road worn, but it is the nicest sounding Strat in the world. It really is. The neck is dead thin, and if you have a look on the end, no truss rod.
All right. And is that a knockoff Fender logo he's got on there as well?
Yeah. Don't
let Bud Cole see that.
No. This is all what it was. This is how it's put together. All the bits that I had, and I paid 50 quid for it. It's been an amazing guitar. I will not swap this for the world. And if anybody tries to come around and take it off me, they're going to have a fight. And they've got to take my dog on as well.
Can I play it when I come up?
Yeah, of course you can, mate.
I've played it before. It is a really, really nice guitar.
The neck on it is it's like wafer thin. Fender necks tend to be a little bit too chunky for me. That's not a knock to Fender guitars. It's just the way I play. This thing is thin as hell, and it just does everything. It's an amazing guitar. This is the difference between what Fender are now doing and to what the guy that can't afford a guitar can get.
Yeah.
So just things to think about. So there you go.
Completely.
Anyway, we're going to leave this if we can now, because we've got one more conversation to talk about, which I am going to get into, which I've got a real bugbear about. So let's come back in another minute or two, and we'll talk about the local.
I'm not used to being the only guy who's got now to complain about. I'll have to think of somewhat for next time, won't I?
We'll be back in a few minutes. Are you a music business owner? Do you run music in your venue or pub? Or are you a band or a solo artist trying to get out on the music scene? Then why not advertise in Any Guitars magazine? With an issue readership of between 30 to 50,000 readers, you really can't go wrong. With highly competitive rates, we have options to suit your needs and your budget. We have advertising spaces in our magazine, on our websites, and on our new podcast. If you want to get your latest product, your band name, or your latest single out into the world of music ahead of everybody else, then why not contact us here at Any Guitars magazine. For more information and details on our rates, contact us on www.anyguitarsmagazine.co.uk/advertise. Welcome back to Any Guitars magazine podcast. Yes, you got the three of us here. Murdock, Lee and myself, Paul. Yes, we have got many more people that write for us. Hopefully you've seen the adverts in the little breaks that we've done, the subscriptions and all the rest of it. Get involved with the magazine. It's turning into a bit of a lifeline for guitarists in the Northeast and in fact further on. We have massive readership. We're getting loads and loads of great reviews, lots and lots of great famous stars that get involved with this,
and we do it all for free.
Yeah, we do.
So it's nice,
yes,
for you guys to get involved. So it makes it kind of worth our extra hours and extra time researching, writing, etc. For your enjoyment.
Great magazine.
What else were we
get
gonna
involved? I know. Right now, I want to get into an issue which has been burning on my mind for the last 18 months, I suppose. And we're talking about the small shops closing down in our area. Now, I know this is across the UK. It's not just us up here in the Northeast. And it can't, we're even talking some of the bigger companies closing down. As we've seen, PMT have closed down recently, GAC closed down, unfortunately, even for Any Guitars ourselves, we've been affected by this. We've had two guitar shops that have supported us religiously from day one. The first one, East Durham Guitars, which has been run for the last 18 months, I suppose, 18 months, by Dave, who's always been alongside us, and he's helped us out a lot, fixes our guitars for us, makes his own guitars, and unfortunately he's now having to close down. Also, we last year we picked up Any Guitars, which is in South Shields, who they do our classified page for us. And you might have seen them on the back page. We advertise them there. They're looking towards the end of the year. They're going to be closed down as well. He said they're definitely going to be shut down. Thankfully, the guy that's running it has another company called CH Guitars, which is quite famous around the Northeast, and he's going to be continuing with that. And we said we're going to help him out wherever we can, and we're going to stay true to our word with that. However, it's another shop that is closing down. Before that, as we said, PMT in Newcastle went, which is somewhere where I used to go for my strings, and it was actually the only place where I could get strings for me Gretches, which has kind of hacked me off a little bit and left me in the uncertain hands of the online market. Now there is something else that I wanted to cover here. And that is the guitar or musical instrument company, Gear for Music, who we have in the Northeast down in York. Now, I went down there a couple of weeks ago to buy my amplifier, which I was quite happy with. I knew what I was getting from day one, and I knew I was going to get a brand new version of it, so I had no problems. But I did have a good look around their their showroom first of all, and they have everything down there. You know, you name an instrument, a packet of strings or whatever, they will have it there, which is great.
They'll have rinsed it off PMT.
Yeah,
More than likely.
yeah, they are.
Yeah. They will have. They'll have totally
Yeah.
cleared out their cupboards, man.
Yes, they did. The problem for me is to get down to Gear for Music is an hour and a half's journey by car, which I'm not going to do for a packet of strings.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to happen. So again, I'm now relying on online services. Now, I literally have to go through, for me, D'Addario. Thankfully, D'Addario are on our side, and we've had some great business relations with them since we started. But I can't go on to places like eBay or Timo and all of the others, because you're not going to get the genuine article.
Well, you're going to get garbage.
Yeah, you're going to get
garbage.
Chinese knockoffs. With a D'Addario printed bit of paper on the front of it, basically.
Any balls, Music Man's are the
Yeah.
same as well.
The other problem I have with these shops closing down is the old thing of going into a guitar shop, sitting down with an expert, and having him help you. Buy your guitar, your strings, your amps, and things like that. You know, the bits and pieces that you need. He will tell you what you need, because when you go into a guitar shop, 9,900 times or 99,000 times out of whatever, you're going to have a guitarist there that's going to know what he's talking about. Gear for Music isn't like that, and I have to say that, and I'm sorry for Gear for Music for saying this. When I bought my amp down there,
I wouldn't be sorry.
I went down there a few weeks ago, and I had a young girl came up to me. She was very pleasant, and she was great, but she knew absolutely nothing about music. I promise you, I was asking her about the amp, and there was a blank face. It was like, we'll show you the amp, got it out of the box, there it is, I knew what the amp was, and I started asking questions, and she didn't have a clue. She didn't know, and she was very evasive. And I was like, this is why I'm now, worrying about the state the guitar world is in at this point in time. I also asked about their marketing, people. Now, it wasn't in the workshop area and the store they had there. They have another office in York, and I asked to get in contact with them, explaining that was part of Any Guitars magazine. I was the editor of it. She had no interest, didn't want to know. She said, you'll have to go back onto the website and find the marketing and do it that way. And I was thinking to myself, how unhelpful is this? Here is, okay, we're not the biggest magazine in the world, but we do have a very, very good, strong foothold in the Northeast. Yeah. We have amazing readership, for what we do. We're talking, anywhere between 25 and 40,000 readers a month, which is a lot of readers, a lot of, customers that we could say, go to this place.
Take a look at this. Get your eyes in front of that. Yeah.
And this girl just wasn't interested in it. And I walked out of it.
I think it's worth saying just quickly. Sorry, I am really sorry for interrupting. I do think it is worth saying really quickly that that's not her fault.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah. You know what I know it goes without saying, but just in case nobody said it, she is allowed to not have an interest in a 1969 Jaguar. You know what I mean? Hey, she's fine with that.
Yeah.
It is it could be the equivalent of a Saturday job, and nobody wants to be there on a Saturday. But also with that, that is what a lot of the complaints about places like PMT and GAC were when they were closing down. A lot of the reports that I got was off a lifeless shop being served by lifeless staff, and I'm not sure what they were like everywhere, but when I was down here, that was what we were getting from them. And then the knock-on effect, bring Fender back up again, is GAC and PMT and now Gear for Music. They are hopefully going to be bringing in the £30,000, the £50,000, £100,000 Fender deals, and then that would disperse around all of the smaller shops. If you're not investing in the conglomerate, if you're not giving PMT the staff, the training that they need to answer the questions that nerdy dudes like us have about the gear that we're buying, like, that's what makes us feel like we're not having a good time in those stores, which is what inevitably becomes one of the things that leads to them closing down. And then that means all of the small guitar shops around them aren't getting in on that £100,000, £50,000, £30,000 Fender deal. And that means that they can't stay open either. It is one thing kind of cause and effect.
It's a knock-on effect.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just a lack of chirpy staff. There's a lot more to it, like online market, antiquities, everything else. But it can start at home.
By that road, the same road.
It wasn't the girl's fault. She was doing the job, and she was doing it well. I'm not, knocking this girl. She did help me out. She got me amp. And I bought it and went home happy with a nice amplifier. Job done. But I'm someone that knows what they're talking about with the amp. I'd already researched it and everything else like that. But what I'm talking about is the young guy that's coming up there, wants to learn the guitar, goes to this person and saying, I don't know what to start with. Can you help me? It's not the girl's fault. It's now Gear for Music's fault, where they haven't got an expert there to say, let's go up to the guitars and play around with a few. Let's try a few amps out and let's do this. You don't want this one because maybe this one's a little bit out of your price range and it might be a bit too advanced. So let's just try this one. This is the kind of stuff that the smaller shops did for you. I did it when I was a kid back in Hampshire. I went into a place called New Milton, and I just watched Crossroads. And I wanted a Telecaster,
I wanted Eugene's trick bag.
I wanted to be Raikuda, Now I went up there and I told this guy, I wanted a Fender Telecaster, and he told me the price. I said, no, I don't want one of those because I can't afford that. And he goes, well, I can't remember the guitar he showed me. He said, well, this is a cheaper version of the Telecaster. He goes, let's try one of these out. And he put me through an amp. And he actually tuned it into a slide, and he actually played it, and I fell in love with it. I thought, oh wow, this. And I think at the time it was 99 quid. I think I paid for it, and I loved it. And I had it for years and years and years, and it was a great guitar, and I loved it. But this guy helped me. Obviously he was going to get the sale, but he actually came down from expensive guitars to something that I could handle at a young age, and I had that professional advice right from the start. That is now what's disappearing, and that's what's now annoying me. So yeah,
like on there, when I first started playing, the place you would go was over in Middlesbrough, and it was going to Middlesbrough Music. Uncle Tony. Now Tony had been, and he was a weird dude. Tony, he was one of those.
I haven't thought about that for about
really eccentric. That's awesome, isn't it? Really, he was an eccentric dude. But this guy knew guitars, he knew amplifiers. His knowledge base was huge. And you could go in and you could go, I'm looking for so and so, and he'd be like, well, what do you play? What are you looking for? What sound are you after? And he'd ask you a number of questions. He'd go, and he'd get this idea. He'd say, right, okay, try this. Right, tune it up, plug it in, right, okay, what amp do you use?
Oh, I use a Squire 15 that I've got.
But he'd plug it in, he'd tune it up, and he'd play it a bit, and he'd go, try that one. And while you were messing around, he'd go and he'd get another one, based off what you've just said, and he'd come on and go, right, now try this. And he'd take on board what you were looking for, even in your, kind of late teen, early 20s, I don't know what's going on, I'm just trying to find something. And he'd guide you in the direction that you didn't know you needed to be in. And having that is incredibly important. We've lost that. We've massively lost that.
I think that's an important thing to talk about as well. Could you talk? Sorry.
I can give you a very good example of this. I used to work all over the country. I travelled the country for work. And one day, I believe, I may be wrong here, but I believe I was in Stratford upon Avon. And on my break, I went, and there was this little guitar shop round the corner. And I went in, and I saw it was a Squire Strat, believe it or not, that had hot rails in it. And I thought,
Nice.
oh, I like the look of that. So I said to the guy, do you mind if I, oh, no, not at all. And he got it down, he plugged it in. And I sat and I played for a bit. And I had this big shiny belt buckle on, because I'm a country boy at heart. And he gave me a shop jumper to put on so I didn't scratch the guitar with this belt buckle. So I sat and I played for a while. And as I was playing, this family came in, a wife, husband, and a young kid who was, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 years old. And they came walking around and looking at stuff, and then they approached me as I'm sat messing about. I went, I'm wondering if you can help us. Our son's looking for his first guitar. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. What do you like to listen to, man? So he told me. I'm like, oh, okay. So, you don't want humbuckers. That's it's a bit thick for what you're looking for. Probably some single coils. And I looked around the room and went, okay, there's a few likely candidates. And I talked to him about it, and I got a few of them just off the rack, because, I'm cheeky, I'll have a go. And I got a few off the rack, and I plugged him into the amp I'd been playing through, and he had a little bit of a, halting, very, very early stages of playing. But he had a play through a couple of them, and he decided he really liked the Strat that I was playing when he came in. And I'm like, yeah, cool. He said, do you know how much it is? And I picked the ticket up. It's 230 quid. I tell you what, and I stuck the tag back in, I went, you take it to the fella over there at the cash register, he can weigh you in for it. If you ask him nicely, he might be able to do you a deal on an amp as well.
Yeah.
And then they wandered off. I took the shirt off, put it on top of the amp, picked my bag up, and I went to walk out. And as I walked out, this kid was ringing this guitar up through the cash register, and it wasn't like I got outside that I thought, oh, I had a store jumper on. They probably thought I worked here. So you're welcome. I got you that sale. You're more than welcome to it. But it's a really good example that actually happened to me, where there's someone coming in who doesn't know. They have an idea of what they're going for, but they don't know how to get there. And me turning around and going, all right, well, okay, a couple of basic questions. What do you, I think I know where you are. Right. There's some options. Let's plug them in. Have a listen. Is that too much? Is it too little? Does it not feel right? Is there something that you don't like about how it sits? And we would and we should do that for anyone if we're in that position. All three of us could have had that same story if we were in that same position at that same time. But you need that in a guitar shop. You need the people that work there to be able to say to you, all right, well, what are you looking for? I don't know. Oh, well, what do you like listening to?
Yeah.
What sound is it that made you go, ooh, I really want an electric guitar? They can tell you, and that gives you a really good idea of where you're going if you've got that knowledge. So it's important you've got someone like an Uncle Tony or a bloke who happened to be playing a Strat with a shop top on one day. It's important that there is someone there to be able to go, right, okay, I get where you're looking, I know roughly what field you're looking for. It's over there, second left, after the cow. It's just a bit of direction. That's how I came up. People going, well, you can't really use that there because it doesn't work. Try this.
Yeah.
A great example, a guy who recently passed away, Mr. Dave Llewellyn, who worked on local radio, was a tremendous guy. And I met him back in the mid-90s. And he was a superb sound engineer, just one of the best. And back when I was a teenager, I recorded an EP down at Durham Street Studios in Hartlepool, way before the studio existed, or in this rickety old building, and you had to turn heaters on to warm.
I've only
the
seen
kit
the black
up
and white photos, Lee. I'm telling you.
Oh man, it was a magical place. And Dave,
Cave paintings.
yeah, pretty much. But Dave came in and he engineered the EP that me and
I
this
drew a
band
lot of those.
recorded. And our lead guitarist Sig, he had this big Marshall stack, and obviously we're all into Metallica and Slayer and Megadeth.
Yes.
So you had the gain cranked right up, and he's playing a solo on this ballad that I'd written, and Dave's recording it, and we get to the end of the take, and he comes in and he goes, "Can I just mess about with your amp a minute?" And Sig went, "Yeah." And he rolled loads of gain off, and he messed about with the EQ a bit. And he went, "Just try it again like that." Walked back out, and we re-recorded the solo, and then he played the two solos back to back to us. And his knowledge of what was going to sound right made a huge difference. It was a song with a solo on it. And then when he used his knowledge to do something with it, it was a song with a solo in it.
Yeah.
And it's that level of knowledge that you need when you're dealing with music and musicians, especially guys who don't know, to be able to guide them properly. And if you haven't got that, the internet's going to take over at that point. People are going to stop bothering because there's no guidance.
That's kind of already happened, really.
It has to a point.
Not completely, but
it's definitely going that way. But this is actually going to lead me on to my next point. So I have two questions here. Firstly, what is the problem, and what is the answer? And now the problem, as I see, isn't so much the big companies, because the big companies, I think, are actually just monopolising on the problem which is already there. I'm not going to blame Gear for Music, because they actually do sell a lot of good stuff at very reasonable prices. You just need to know what you want before you go to the shop, and that's not knocking Gear for Music. I've taken some good stuff from Gear for Music, and they're not a bad company. But we've got to look at the problem. Now, one of the big problems, and I'm talking now specifically about one of our guitar companies, Any Guitars in South Shields, and I had a chat with the owner of it, and he told me his rent prices on. I'm not going to go into the rent prices, and I'm not going to embarrass me by saying what they were, but they were pretty high. Yeah. And for the amount of trade that he was getting coming into the shop, now, bearing in mind that the Northeast is still, a struggling area, and you're always going to get that, how can we get people into the door, sort of syndrome. And the rent and the rates and things like that these days are completely, dominating, the amount of customers that are coming in and actually buying bits of kit. So I think the problem is nothing more than the state of the economy, to be honest with you, which is killing a lot of these shops. In Hartlepool, we haven't got anything. To get strings, we either go online and get them, or we have to go either to Guitar in Newcastle or down to York. There is a small guitar shop or a small music shop in Northallerton, and there's a small one in Middlesbrough, which opened up last year.
Picks and Sticks, I believe.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Picks and
That's
Sticks.
cool.
Great bunch
Is
of
the
guys.
little one opposite the bus station still open?
No, that's
No,
gone. That's gone.
No, Picks and Sticks is now
that's
the.
a shame. I really liked it.
I believe Picks and Sticks is in Dundas Arcade.
Yeah, that's right,
If
yeah.
memory serves me
Yeah, yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
I keep meaning to get down and go and have a chat with the boys and girls there.
I've
heard
been in
good
there a
things.
couple of times.
Very good
The
things.
guy actually makes guitars as well, and he actually had one at the Northeast Guitar Show, which he designed himself. Which I wish them the very, very best.
Yeah.
And I hope this problem doesn't, hit them. They're in a great place. One of the things that I have noticed over the few years that we've been running is the lack of advertising these people do. And I actually wonder, for the little shops, is if this is one of their problems where they don't, monopolise on ways of getting people. Now, this is something that I want to put out through the magazine to try and get people to use what they have to get more people through the door. I have gone round all these shops, taken our stats around, live on the laptop and said, look at what we're doing. These amount of people that are reading our magazine, this is how good we are. These are your potential customers. And nobody comes back to me. Now, I am known as a soft touch for advertisers, and if I see a company struggling, I will do everything I can to help them. And it actually came to a head when I started the classified ads, and this happened with East Durham Guitars. East Durham puts 6 or 7 guitars as small ads in the classified pages. We put the magazine out, and within a few weeks, 6 of them had gone. They'd sold. I'm not saying they sold
because of
the magazine, but hell of a coincidence.
The extra exposure helps.
I believe that we had something to do with it. Now, if that can happen in a small shop like East Durham Guitars, why aren't these shops, speaking to sort of guys like us and say, look, your prices are a little bit high, but maybe we can do this, because we'd always be open to say, yeah, come on, let's see if we can help you out, and try and get customers back in. We know we get a lot of readers. We know we get people on Facebook and all the rest of the social media sites talking about stuff to us, So please, this is going out to all the companies out there, the small shops and things like that. Use what you have to get people into your shop. Don't sit on it, because you won't get customers into your shop unless they know you're there. And Any Guitars, I'm sorry I'm blowing our trumpet here, Any Guitars is a great place to advertise. So come across and have a chat to us, and we'll see what we can do to help.
We don't bite unless we're paid.
I don't know. I think it is worth taking a little bit of a look at. I have a big belief that community is usually the answer to most problems you're facing with a business, because you're trying to solve community-based problems with a business mindset. And so, like you've just said the words there, your prices are a bit high for the advertising end. Like, when it comes to, like, let's use both of your examples of the guys in the shop, like Lee's where somebody had the answers, and yours, Paul, where somebody didn't have the answers. Because if you put yourself in the mindset of that girl that you spoke to, the type of questions that you're asking her that need answers either look like technical stuff that is beyond the human conception, or it's esotericism and wizardry that not mere mortals aren't supposed to understand.
Works off magic, mate. You plug that in, and the magic happens.
Yeah, like magic beans. But I think that so you've said that it's not Gear for Music's fault. It's certainly not Gear for Music's fault, but Gear for Music are in a situation where every Tuesday morning between 10 and 12, you just sit and go, okay, here's the Fender range, here are the sort of buyers that are going to look at it. Because I'm sure that between the three of us, we could sit behind the counter at a guitar shop, and if the kid comes in with a baggy hoodie, long black hair and eyeliner, I know what instrument I need to give this kid. If the kid comes in looking a bit like me, like silly shaved off side haircuts and a silly beard, you're like, he probably wants something a little bit up the further shelves there. Do you know what I mean? Like, the young girl comes in with her dad and she's like wanting something better than a ukulele. She's the one you need to sit down and try a couple of different things, because we don't know what she's going to gravitate towards.
It's like buying a car, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
It's like
or anything, man. Like any sort of fetish property, it's all porn, isn't it?
You walk into a car showroom and you go, oh, I want something, it's not going to be too bad on the fuel. It's going to be okay performance, it's comfortable, it's quiet, and it has a good amount of options. What can you show me?
I want someone with 2 seats that goes vroom, 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 vroom.
Well, if you walk in that dealership and someone goes, well, I mean, they've all got like 5 wheels because there's a steering wheel. 6 if you include the spare. But some of them make noises and some of them don't.
Yeah.
Any particular colour, you're not going to be that impressed.
Yeah.
But if someone goes, all right, well, how many miles are you doing a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got kids.
How do you drive? Yeah. How many doors do you want?
Yeah.
Do you carry a lot of luggage?
You see,
narrow it down.
I've actually got, with what you've just been saying, Dave, I've actually got a question there. Now, you know, we're talking about this young lady who, you know, doesn't quite know, you know, the technical aspects and things like that.
But very pleasant and very nice.
Yeah, she's got great customer, you know, great customer relations, that kind of thing. Aren't Gear for Music putting in their interview criteria that you have to have some kind of music background?
In 2026, that's a different problem because that's only being read by AI bots. And unless the AI bot has been trained differently, because like AI bots are squashing creative CVs just because they've got creative stuff on there. But if you've got somebody that is a student who is doing English literature and got great GCSEs, they are more desirable to the machine that is hiring that person than somebody who is a dweeb like us that has years of experience in breaking guitars.
Right, brilliant.
I mean? Like,
But okay, let me put it back into my speak from what I understood. Now, I spent a couple of years in the town where you live now as a recruiting sergeant, where I was interviewing people to become soldiers.
right.
Now, people could come into me and say, I've got this GCSE, I've got that GCSE, and it would do that straight over my head. Wasn't interested. You know, are you fit? You know, have you got a strong background? What, you know, what is, you know, what's your background like? You know, and I'm thinking, is this guy going to be strong enough and fit enough and ready enough to be able to go into a battlefield with a loaded weapon and be able to handle himself?
Is this person capable of doing the task that I
And I have to look to see if that guy is going to have the potential. He might not have the potential at that point, but I'm looking at the potential. Now, is it these days that interviews are just done online where they fill out a form, put it in, and that's it?
Yes, it is.
Because if it's like that, maybe there's the problem. You know, isn't there a guy that could sit down for 5 minutes with someone and say, have you got any music experience?
Well, yes, but he probably doesn't have any music experience. The problem is top down.
Isn't that the problem? You know, and I'm actually talking about, you know, this poor girl that we keep talking about in Gear for Music. You know, is that where she's come from? Because to me, that's a problem.
If you're out there and you are seeing this podcast, by the way, you know, get in touch. You know, just give us a shout. Because
answer our stupid questions.
We'd love to sit down and talk to you to see,
absolutely.
You know, exactly what kind of support and training you had going into that role.
I'm interested.
It will be interesting to see. It will be interesting to hear and interesting to talk about. Purely from the standpoint of, you know, some guys who've been doing this a while, who are used to the way it used to be, and then obviously from someone who's new in, who's, you know, on at the ground floor, kind of, you know, at the coalface, so to speak. You know, it'd be nice to chat to, and you know.
Yeah. As I said,
devil's advocacy as well. Like we've said about, like the training that this person may or may not have been given. Do the guys that are in charge of the hiring and firing and sales at Gear for Music really care? Because if the job is get a sales quota of £1,000 a week, or you're going to end up on some sort of remand for not getting. You know what I mean? Do they give a shit at all?
But that's where the problem comes from the guitar the guitar player.
And that's no shade on Gear for Music. I'm just pretending all conglomerates are evil Nazis. Like.
But no, again, as I said, I've had some great stuff done from Gear for Music, and I'm not knocking them at all. What I'm trying to get to is trying to understand where this problem is all now coming from and why we're losing all these great shops that have served us so well over the years, you know, and is now making life for the guy down the street, the guitarist, you know, such a pain in the backside. It really is.
But it all boils down to one thing.
Yeah.
It boils down to money.
And not necessarily. Yes, it does boil down to money. I think that it's
people
come
are going
full
to hire the
circle for us,
cheapest
though.
person to do the
Yes,
job.
yes,
They're going to
yes.
put the least amount of effort into training people to do that job that they possibly can, because they're working to a budget. They're then going to demand the maximum amount of sales from the lowest amount of input that they can possibly get. This isn't the way it used to be, and I mean, times change, things move.
Yeah,
and
of
this
course,
is probably
yeah.
the way that we're going to see things go from now on. But back when I started, there was a guy who had a guitar shop, not because he went, this is the way I'm going to be a millionaire. He did it because he went, I really like guitars, and I'm at a point where I've got enough money to be able to buy and sell them and make a few quid. I've been selling them like out the house anyway. I'll get that little shop down the road, and I'll make a few quid, and it'll keep me going, and I'm happy with that. We don't have that now. What we have is large companies going, we have a lot of things and we need to sell them. How can we sell them making the maximum amount of profit off the lowest amount of investment? That's it. That is the underpinning problem out of all of it. It's not about catering to the musician, it's about catering to the balance in the bank.
I'm going to get
it is worth saying that we came full circle because we started this entire conversation talking about these that were made by builders in their shed because they give a shit.
Yeah.
And we're talking about sales on a macro level and things like PMT and the other stores closing, the knock-on effect that then has on the little guy, and what lessons are we learning from these mistakes? Same as Bud, what's his face from Bud Cole from Fender.
If you want good gear, if you want good gear and you want people who are knowledgeable and you want people who are going to help you along as you grow and develop as a musician, a guitar player, a bass player, a drummer, I don't care what it is, go and speak to the local guys, speak to the guys who've been doing it, talk to the guy in the little pokey shop with 4 guitars on the wall, because even if you don't buy something from him, I guarantee you're going to walk away knowing what you don't want to buy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Speak to
Absolutely.
the little guys. They know.
I'm going to get off my soapbox here now, because I think I've
We need to call this. We need to call this podcast.
It is time at the bar
with Northeast Guitars.
Time at the bar, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, people out there, if you're interested in what we've been talking about, and basically you've got 3 guys that are just throwing opinions out. We're not hitting anybody personally. We're just trying to understand current situations and review bits of kit and try and help the little guy out. So if you've got your questions, please do throw them across to us on Facebook, through the website, through all our other, we've got loads and loads of platforms out there. Find a platform and ask us a question, and we'll do our best to answer that. So anyway, I'm going to put an end to this now. And we're going to talk about a few, 1 or 2 bits of news that have come out. And one bit of news that I do want to talk about is a very old singer, songwriter, guitarist, I suppose, that has just hit the headlines yet again. And we're talking about a guy called Neil Diamond, a guy that I love to death, and I've loved him for many, many years. And I'm going to put my hand up and confess I was once a Neil Diamond tribute.
I have seen that show.
Jazz singer Neil Diamond, or the rest of it?
Right the way
Both
through,
of them.
From his first days in 1962 right up to his... Yeah, I know.
I've seen that show.
Yeah, he has. He's seen it.
Yeah.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed it.
Was there a dry eye in the house? Was there?
There were many wet eyes in the house, but that's probably because the the longer it went, the more we drank. You know. So.
Anyway,
Sweet
Neil Diamond.
cow.
Some years ago, at the start of the millennium, or just after the start of the millennium, I think it was about 2005. Neil Diamond teamed up with a very famous guy called Rick Rubin, who's an amazing producer, a brilliant acoustic guitar player. And they set about making a couple of albums out, and they had an album called 12 Songs, which was great. I really enjoyed it. Didn't really get the critics bubbling, so they brought out their next album in 2008, which was called Home Before Dark, and it ended up in #1. Neil Diamond had his first UK #1 from that album, which is pretty amazing, Grace.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was brilliant. The album was
insane, isn't
superb. It really, really was good. He had another couple of albums after that, but nothing on the same lines of it. Now, last week, Neil Diamond and Rick Rubin released their third and final take of the acoustic recordings. And it is now out to buy, and I'm desperately trying to think of the name, which I can't at the moment, which is so embarrassing.
You keep talking, I'll get it. I'll get it. You keep talking.
Yeah,
Filibuster.
I have actually listened to it, and it's on my playlist. I should just pick up the phone and have a look. And it's not a bad album actually. It's the same acoustic feel, and that's the one. Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
It is a good album. It's a really, really good album. And it was great to see Neil Diamond at an album signing session. He actually came out. Now, Neil Diamond was diagnosed with Parkinson's some years ago, which took him out of touring, which broke my heart, because I've seen Neil Diamond a few times now live on stage. My first time was back in the 80s when he was still in his 40s, and the guy was just incredible. One of the best showmen I've ever seen in my life. He was brilliant. And I saw him in 2008 in Dublin when he was promoting the Home Before Dark album. And he was just as good then. He was brilliant. Unfortunately, we're never going to see him on stage again because of his illness. But he is still getting out, and he is still looking great and healthy. He's still chatting to people. He's still out. He's still writing songs. He's still playing his guitar, which is amazing to hear. But people, go and listen to this album, Wild at Heart. It's a great. So there's a piece of news. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like some nice news.
Yeah.
I've just stuck that on my. I've just added it to my play next, so I'm going to give it a little listen, because although I do take the mick, there are some really great like to have a career that long, put yourself in the Paul McCartneys and the everybody else that has got that legacy, Stevie Wonder and people of the like. To still have something to say, I think is quite profound, no matter what you're saying. Some people drift into obscurity and they say stuff that we maybe don't like, but like for somebody that's had that length of career and not quite as many changes as Madonna, but he's not the same bloke he was 60 years ago either, in terms of the message and the music and the way that he writes and things. Also with Rick Rubin, whether you like the albums that he's produced or not, when you see interviews, with the artists that have worked with him, they always say that they have pulled the best work out of them. Yeah. And hearing who your favourite people's best work is. Mate, the Beastie Boys did it in his bedroom while he was selling them weed. What a guy. He's my dad.
He's an amazing producer. He's
incredible. Yeah.
The Home Before Dark album. I mean, I have followed Neil Diamond's career for many, many years. I actually started off as a Neil Diamond tribute back in 2007, I think it was 2006, 2007, and had a lot of success with it. I'm not going to go too far into it because it will bore the hell out of people, and I'm not going to do that. But the more I look back into Neil Diamond's career and see what he came through, how big he got, especially in the 70s and 80s, especially with the band that he had behind him. I'm just trying to think of the drummer's name. It was actually Elvis's drummer that actually joined him. I can't remember his name, and I should do, but that's
Sorry,
'cause
it's called Any
it's the
Guitar
medicine
Magazine.
you've been giving me.
It's got Any Guitars magazine. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
But
Apologies
you know,
to the drummers out there. You are very important.
but going through his career, especially before he became a performer and was actually a songsmith, you know, the amount of people that he wrote for. Obviously, everybody knows that he wrote for the Monkees with I'm a Believer and a little bit me, a little bit you, and one or two others, I believe. But people like Sandy Shaw, he wrote for. You know, there were so many, you know, sort of big artists that now, you know, owe their career.
UB40.
Yeah. UB40, funny enough, I'm going to bore people again here. Neil Diamond released Red Red Wine many years ago, and it was more of a ballad than the reggae song. And when UB40 brought it out, obviously they hit #1 with it, and that was actually his official first #1, not sung by him, but it was his first #1. So
That's
there
crazy.
you go. Yeah, but what a guy, what a performer. Yeah, so I'm so happy for him.
Props to Neil Diamond.
Big
Props
up
to
Neil, man.
Diamond.
Yeah, big up Neil.
Yeah.
Any other business, my boys?
I have two things. So anyone that's read the magazine, who knows the magazine, and you guys, I often look backwards. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I pick up a lot of these groups from, you know, way back when, that propped up the charts, that held things kind of up, and people seem to have kind of lost a little. I am not going to do that. Shock horror. I want to talk about two bands very, very briefly, but the first of those bands is High Fade, who I did a recent review in the magazine, and they were the cover artist. I've recently had a chat with Harry, the frontman of High Fade, and we're going to be releasing something around that interview very shortly as a one-off piece.
Oh, great.
All I
Tell
want to
me
say
up
is, guys and girls, if you haven't seen High Fade, go. If they're anywhere near you, just go and see this show. Because I shit you not, at no point did I ever expect to hear Slayer, then Funk, in the same song by a band that are so tight I couldn't get a fag paper between them. They are an unbelievable live act, and after talking to them, wonderful guys, please do yourselves a favour and go and check these guys out. Their single is now out, it's called Swamp, and it's a very funky grungy noise that you'll love in your ears, so please, boys and girls, please check it out. The second one, and this is something that I discovered at 6 o'clock this evening. There is a guy kicking about who is called either Isaiah or Isaiah Stone. I don't know a great deal about him, but I've heard a few tracks that just kind of came on the socials earlier. And if you're a fan of that kind of funk, rock, but very tightly produced sound, it kind of reminds me of an updated sort of Lenny Kravitz sound. Go and have a look at this guy, because there's very little traction from what I can see. He's not a big artist. He's unsigned. He's, you know, self-publicised. But I mean, this guy is writing some killer tracks, some really good tracks, some really tasty vocals, nice guitar work, some proper songs that you can sit and kind of just sit into that groove. You know, you can sit back in that pocket and really enjoy them. He's got some great hooks. I'm going to see if I can get hold of him, possibly to talk to him. Fingers crossed. But it's one of those, you're on at the ground floor. Go and have a look at this guy, Isaiah or Isaiah Stone. Wonderful, wonderful noises this man's making. Hopefully,
Amazing.
We see a lot more of him in the future.
One more point I want to bring up very, very quickly is a festival that's coming up in the northeast from the 18th to the 20th of September, and that is the Durham Folk Festival. Yeah, I love folk music. I write a lot of folk music. I bored Lee with one of my folk songs earlier on.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I changed the chords a bit, but I enjoyed it.
But
It would be better if you did it like this, Paul. That's what he did, didn't he? I know this fucking...
No, I just played something and let you figure it out.
I know, I can't play guitar, he can. I hate him. Right, but I've got to put a big word out to the great work of Joni and Johnny, who organise it used to be the Hartlepool Folk Festival up until last year. Because of issues with their main venue, which is the
Borough Hall.
The Borough Hall on the headland. It's now...
just quick, Johnny Mohan. And
Yes.
Johnny.
Mr. Showbiz,
Yes.
Johnny Mohan.
yes.
Big shout out to the
I was going to
legend
come till I
himself.
found out it was him. I'm not coming now.
They are,
Tell him I said hello and I miss him dearly.
I will do. They're great friends of ours.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've just had a folk spring sing at the Fish last weekend, which I attended both days. I turned up at 12 o'clock on the Saturday, got kicked out at 12 o'clock at midnight after a full day of singing and drinking, and it was great fun. But it was sponsored by the Wilson brothers. All the Wilson brothers were attended. Anybody that's into folk music, hopefully will know the Wilson family. They are an amazing quartet of folk singers. They're brilliant. They are sponsoring the folk festival in Durham this year from the 18th to the 20th of September. Now I know tickets are getting short, so if you want to come along, make sure you get onto to the website, the Durham Folk Festival website, and get your tickets now because they are going very, very quickly. It's going to be a great event. We're going to be down there, so please, something to look out for.
And I'll just point this one out for you. If you think you don't like folk, right? Because I didn't think I liked folk until I realised there's this much folk and I like that much of it. But there's that much of it for everybody. Folk is huge.
Yeah.
So there will always be something you're going to find that's going to hit your ear nice, that's going to kind of get you switched on, and you're going to enjoy it. So go and experience something. Go and,
So
think out
something
the
to
box
look
for a
out for.
moment.
That's it.
Done.
That's the Any Guitars podcast for, what's the month? Oh yeah, May and June. So there you go.
We still got to call it Shouting at Clouds with
Yes,
Northeast Guitars.
shouting at
Angry guitarist shouting at clouds.
But thank you for everybody. For
Neil
listening.
Diamond!
Yes.
Good night. Good day. Good evening.
We'll see you in
See
2
you all
months'
later, guys
time.
and girls.
Take
What's
care.
going
God
on?
bless.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.